All right, how you doing, YouTube? It's been a minute since I made a video. I haven't really made any videos lately. The riding season ended. It's gotten colder outside. Still ride a little bit, but nothing noteworthy to make any videos for the remainder of this year. But I did want to make a video for something I'm about to do for my wife. It's a simple job. Changing the brakes on her 2016 Honda Pilot. That's her Honda Pilot right there. This is her vehicle. She rides the kids around everywhere in this thing. She just got the brand new tires installed 2 or 3 days ago, but the brake pads are low, and they brought it up to her at the inspection. They did not fail her on the brakes, but they did say they were really low and they need changed. She told them that I would change it. So I thought I'd make a video step by step on what I do for changing the brakes in the 2016 Honda Pilot. Again, it's a pretty easy job, but when I'm making a video, something will probably happen. It'll probably be a hard fucking job, but usually it's an easy job. So the first thing I do is, typically I would be doing this out in the driveway, but I'm not sure if you can see outside right now underneath that door. It's dark out there and it's kind of cold, and it's like 40 out there right now. So I'm in the garage. I just have the door cracked open over there to get oxygen in here. Otherwise the gas, chemicals and such will give me a headache. So I just cracked the door to get enough air so I can get some fresh air in here. I've got the emergency brake on the vehicle so that it's not going to roll backward, because I have the door shut. I don't want it rolling backward, of course, in the garage. But you see I've got it jacked already, or not jacked, but I have the jack already positioned under there, and I'm going to jack up the truck. Then I'm going to work on each side, but before I jack it up, I like to loosen up the lug nuts, and you'll see the size that I use for this 2016 Honda Pilot is a size 22. I'm not sure if you can see it there, but this is a size 22, and I use my torque wrench here, my nice big torque wrench, to get those off. But I'm going to set up the camera on the tripod and just get started now. All right. Again, this is a step-by-step guide for those of you out here who don't want to pay a garage to do these simple jobs that you could do at home. I used to have them do all this stuff, and I eventually learned how to do it to save the money. This brake job, if you do it at a garage, if you have them do it, it probably costs $200, $250 something, right? Because they won't allow you to supply your parts. They want to supply their own parts, which are marked up significantly. So you're paying a crazy amount of money just for the brakes. The brakes I bought here, these are what I got. Brake pads, hybrid dynamics. These will fit this 2016 Honda Pilot. And I bought these for $22 on Rock Auto. $22 these cost. And they also came with the clamps and such that I can replace. These will replace. Potentially I'll look at the others and see if they need replaced, but they came with it. So 22 bucks, I got all that. So I'm changing my own brakes, and I'm doing it. Probably take me 30, 45 minutes if I don't have any problems. And it'll cost me 22 bucks instead of going to the garage and having them do it and pay 200 or 300 bucks. So this is a DIY video on how to do it. I'm gonna set up the camera on the tripod and I'm gonna get started. So let me pause the camera and then we'll get started here in a sec. All right, so you are looking at my right-hand side tire right now. I need to clean it. Look at those rims, they're dirty, but never mind that. What I'm gonna do now is got the socket on my torque wrench, and I like to loosen all 5 of these first. If you wait until this tire is elevated after it's jacked up, these are harder to get loose because the wheel is more free. It's able to move around left to right a little bit more. It's able to turn freely, so it's harder to get these loose. So I like to start them while the vehicle is on the ground, and then they're easier to get loose once they're up in the air. So and I'm going to go to both sides and loosen them up, because I plan to change both of them while it's up in the air. So you just saw what I did to these 5. I'm going to the other side of the vehicle on the front, and I'm going to loosen up those 5 as well. And I'll be back when I get that done. And I'm not loosening them all the way. I'm just starting them. I'm just starting them, all right? All right. So now that I have them started, I'm gonna hoist this vehicle up. I'm gonna hoist this pilot up, and then we will continue. All right, the tires are off of the ground, so I should be good to go. Once the tires are off the ground, I'm gonna back this up a little bit. Once the tires are off the ground, you see they're off the ground, I can put my hands under it, under here. Now I'm gonna loosen the rest of these off, and I'm gonna take this tire off. We're gonna start with this tire. And I have my jacket on out here in the garage because again, the cold air is coming out from the coming in from the outside and kind of chilly in the garage. So once you have them loosened up enough, you can use them. You can use your fingers to loosen the rest of the way up. A lot of times the tire will start moving outward from the bottom. So what I like to do is put my foot on the bottom just to kind of keep the tire nice and level. So it's not moving out, and then I can reach in and start getting these loose with my fingers. Just take them out one at a time, set them on the ground. I'll probably speed this part of the video up. Man, I'm getting a headache out here, so somehow I'm not getting enough air. There's the oil and gas smell out here is still giving me a headache. If I open it up anymore, it's going to get really cold though. So I'm on my final lug nut here. All right, somehow the video turned off. I have no idea where it ended up cutting off, but I just took off the lug nuts and I just pulled the tire off. So what you're looking at now is the rotor, the caliper, and the brake pads there straight ahead. So this is the rotor. If you're not familiar with tires and the elements that consist of the brake areas here, but this is the rotor. That's this flat area here. If you throw your thumb over it and you feel grooves, first of all, if you were riding too long and you hear squealing coming from your brakes, it's usually your brake pads have gotten too low, and the metal that's here has started digging into the rotor. And if you feel grooves in your rotor, meaning if you rub your thumb over it and it's not flat and perfectly smooth, if you feel some edges, some grooves, then it means you probably need to replace your rotors or get them shaved down. They can shave them down and get them polished if you pay a shop to do it, or you can buy them new and replace them. Ideally, you don't want to have to go through that. Change your brakes regularly before they get low enough that they start doing that. So you're looking at the rotor here. I'm rubbing my thumb over it. This is the caliper. This is called the caliper. The caliper holds the brake pads. It also has a hose that comes off of it back here that has the brake fluid that connects to the caliper and actually makes the brakes go in and out. Makes the brakes go in and out as you push down on the brakes. Just quickly show you back there. You kind of see that wire right here. Where is it? There it is. Pushing on it right there. Yeah, this wire right here. So that's connected there, and then it goes down here to the brakes, to the calipers, and all that. So you're looking at that right now. I am going to remove the caliper, and then I need to change the brake pads. Let me get a chair. Old and my legs hurt when I try to sit on the ground. But I have my Ratchet here, and it has an 11/16 socket on it. 11/16. And this is used for the caliper bolts right here. Right here. One. And then on the bottom, down here, somewhere, where is it? There it is. The second one. So you gotta loosen those up. One, and up top, two. Okay, so I'm gonna set it down here and just start loosening them up. There we go. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. This is always the hardest part for me. Righty tighty. If it doesn't want to go, if it's too tight, what I like to do is get a hammer and just kind of bang a little bit on the handle there, and that'll make it come loose. Let me go get my hammer. Alright. So just kind of hold it there and just kind of, there you go. See, now it's loose. Loose, and then I'll go to the bottom one, do the same thing. There you go. So you want to loosen these two. And when you loosen them enough, the caliper will come out. It will just pull straight out. Move this up a little bit there. So this will just pull out. I'll show you when I get it. But I'm loosening up these screws. There's one. Set it on the ground. And then two. If it's too tight to do, just put it over and use your ratchet. Come on. Oh, this is just fucking turning. If it just turns, just hold the back side of it so that it doesn't turn. There you go. Then you pull that out. All right, so once those two are off, you should be able just to reach in here and pull this loose. So you're not removing the whole thing, you're only removing the part here. Sometimes it's stuck in there really good. You gotta finagle it, move it back and forth. There you go. So the top is off and the bottom is off. So there you go. So now you're looking at the caliper is off, and I set it on top. So I'll show you here. So I'll pull it loose and I just set it on top for right now. You see here, these two pieces. Let me move this over here so I can actually see what the hell I'm saying. All right, so what you're looking at here is the actual brake pads. So you see they have these little metal wire things here. You just poke those, pull those out, and the brake pads just fall out. Even though these are not bad looking brakes. Actually, that one is. That one has a lot of life. I don't know why that one was. So you see, this one is pretty thin. This one is pretty thin on this side, but this one doesn't look horrible. I mean, you can see the life it's got left on it. Got quite a bit of life on it left. But I'm gonna replace them because I like to replace them together, so it is what it is. So I'm going to put these over here for now. Set these aside. Okay. All right, set this back up here. And let me open up my new brakes. Let me also get a piece that I'm missing. All right. I also have a, what the hell you call this? A daggone, shit. I don't know what the fuck this thing is called. My mind just doesn't work right. And I have a board. And I use these to push in these guys. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If you put your new brakes in, you will find that they're not going to, you will find that the caliper is not going to go in here well. Because these guys, these rubber what do you call it, gaskets, these come in and out, right? And these will not seat, this will not seat correctly down into the brake slot, down into the brake pad area here with the new brake pads if these are not pushed completely in. And that's why I use the board and that. And I can't fucking remember the name of it because my mind is so fucking broken, right? I'm gonna use this, and then I'm going to put the board over here and I'm gonna push these in. I'm gonna do that now. All right. See what I'm doing here? I'm gonna set that there. And then I'm going to let's put this here, like so. I'll loosen this up. Okay, I'm gonna put it on the back side. Once it's far enough in, which is not, I'll slide this a little bit further here. Okay, so there we go. So you see I'm putting it on the back side and the front side, and now I'm going to twist it. I'll tighten it. It's going to be pushing those back in. And I just broke my board. That's okay. Alright. So when I take this off, you're going to see one side. See, one side is now pushed in, right? This side still needs to go in, but this side is pushed in. I still need to go a little bit farther, but that's a good start. I'm going to do the other side now. Be careful of the brake hose back there. Don't hit it or modify it or knock it loose. You don't want to be leaking any brake fluid. And again, this is something I had to figure out. When I changed my brakes the first time, I couldn't figure out why the hell can I not get this caliper back on seated correctly. And I figured out that it was because these things have to be pushed in. It has to be basically flat in order for them to fit in again. So this one's nice and flat. You see how it's nice in there now? Nice and flush. And this one is a little bit not flush. I'm going to do it a little bit more here. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass. It won't stay seated. All right, I'm behind it again. All right. So you see I have it flush there and I'm just pushing. Just turning this. There we go. So now, both of those are very flush. Not 100%, but I think it's enough that it would slide on there now when I get the brake pads on. So that part is done, so now I just need to get the brake pads done. So I'm gonna set this back up here. Here's where the brake pads are gonna go. I'm gonna open up the brake pads here. Again, these are $20 on Rock Auto. There's a brand new pack of brake pads, 4 of them. Comes with 4 front brakes. You have 2 on each side. One goes on this side, one goes on the other side. And the brake pads face inward. They face each other, the actual brake pads. So let me get this open, get my screwdriver. All right. So the 4 brake pads are out. You see how thick each one of those is? It's very thick. Brand new. There are 2 different sides. You see this one has a metal clip on it. This would go in the back and the other one would go in the front. That doesn't have that metal clip. So one would go this way and the other would go behind it facing the same way. But before I do that, I need to find the grease because you should put a layer of brake pad grease on the back side on this metal plate. It stops the squeaking that can occur on this back side, and that's the way I learned it. I don't know the technical reason, but that's the reason I do it, and it seems to help. I never have squeaking, so I just have to find it, put it on there. All right, so I found my brake lubricant, and so this, you just put a little squirt on the back side, like so, and you rub it all the way to the extreme parts of the metal. You just want to get it on the metal plate. Do not get it on the brake pad. If you get it on the brake pad, that's not a good thing, right? If you put grease on a brake pad, it's gonna make it not stop, and you wanna stop. So only get it on the back side, right? So you're gonna watch here, I'm gonna just kind of spread it very thin. Doesn't need a lot, just spread it very thin. Just a light coat, doesn't need a lot. See what I'm doing there? I'm putting a light coat all across it. So there you go. But I'm being very careful not to get anything on the brake pad itself. And I want to get a napkin so I can wipe my finger on it. I didn't get a napkin, so let me grab a napkin and wipe my finger off on it. Be right back. All right. So we have the first piece, right? First piece. The brake pad faces inward, and it's going to go, there's clamps here. Now, I'm not going to replace these clamps. If you look here, there are some metal clamps here. I could pop those off and replace them because I did get, in fact I will, just to show you the whole thing. You see here, this came off. And that is in this pack that I bought. So I could just take one out. So might as well do it all, right? If I have the parts and I'm making a video, why not do it all? So I would pull the exact same part out. Here, it's a brand new one. So you just pop it over in here, boom, and boom. So now you have a completely brand new replaced part. Same with the bottom. Poke that off. That's the old part. And we're gonna pull the new one out of here. And we're gonna do the same thing here. There you go. So now we have 2 brand new parts, which we can slide our brake pads into. So again, here's the first. We want to make sure it is facing in, and there's some slots here, right here, Right there is the slot you want to put that into, right there. And then at the top, you want to do the same thing. Kind of tilt it in at an angle, and there you go. Okay? Brake pad is nicely seated. See that? So now we're going to do the exact same thing with the brake on the back. The back brake pad. God damn, I can't talk a lot. All right. Again, that's going to be this one with the metal clip coming off of it. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Going to put a little brake lubricant on the back and rub it in. Then we'll get it seated. I'm doing the exact same thing. Doing the exact same thing. So I'm just putting it on here, getting a thin coat on the metal, just the metal. I'm not getting it on the brake pad at all. Just the metal. And if you're a mechanic and you're watching this and you're laughing or you're saying, why the hell is he doing that? Well, this is the way I learned it. And I've been doing it this way for a couple of decades now, and I haven't had any problems. So I'm sure you probably have been trained in better ways of doing things, and this is the way I learned it. So this is the way I'm doing it. So please forgive me if I don't meet the industry standards. So this is the back brake, and you're going to want to, again, don't touch the brake pad with your greasy finger. You're going to want to slide that into the bracket just like you did the first one, right? So move it back here. And then we're going to, if you go in at an angle, it's a lot easier. So go in at an angle, get both of them started at an angle, and then they will slide in easier. Sometimes it's kind of hard getting a good good angle on them, but after moving it around and finagling it a little bit, you should be able to get it. Come on. All right, let me get back there and look at it, because sometimes you have to get back and see what you're doing. I need to feel for the groove. There we go. All right, I think that's good. Get my hands clean again. There we go. Now it's in. Now that's in. Everything is nice and flat. So if you look at it, you can see both the brake pads are completely flush. They're on there really, really well. So now it's just a matter of sliding the caliper back down over it and tightening it down. Let me get that back down there. All right. Okay. All right. So caliper is here. You want to flip it back down. Careful not to twist the brake line. All right. You want to make sure the brake line is not twisted. That's this thing here. Make sure that's not twisted. You don't want it to be like in a DNA strand spiral type thing. You want it to kind of be as straight as you can get it. And then place this right back over this way. It goes. You can push these in, these screws here that you took the screws out of. You can push those in a little bit. Should be able to. And slide the caliper over it. Caliper is now over it nicely. We'll get these two screws, get them started back in the holes. Come on now, get in there. Sometimes it's not too much fun. It just wants to be a pain in the ass. There we go, I got it. So now, get your ratchet, tighten it back up. You want to make sure it's nice and tight. You don't want these things coming loose when you're driving, so make sure it's nice and tight. There we go. Nice. Nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, the right side of my vehicle is done. So, to recap, I loosened the lug nuts up on the tire. I jacked the vehicle up. I took the lug nuts the rest of the way off and removed the tire. When the tire is off, you feel the rotor here. If there's no grooves, that means the rotor is fine. From there, you loosen up the two screws, one here on top and one at the bottom. These screws will come off. And then you would pop this out, not the bracket. The bracket stays. It's connected by another screw or two. Which I didn't get. I didn't loosen those up. I only loosened the two up that take the rotor out. The inner piece here is the rotor, and that's what houses the brake pads. So once the rotor's off, you saw that I took the two brake pads off of here, and I put the new ones on, putting the brake lubricant on the back metal side of it, and then I replaced the two metal clips. And there was also something that I forgot to put on there, but it's not mandatory. Is the little metal clips that were on top of the brake pads, kind of keeping them. I'm not even sure what the purpose of them is, but they're not mandatory. But then you put the caliper back on, you put the bolts back on, you tighten them up real well. Last step is to put the tire back on, tighten up those lug nuts with the torque wrench. Make sure you're getting the right pressure on the torque wrench as per your vehicle. And then do the left side the same exact way. All right. So I'm not gonna do the other side, but I wanted to capture a video because it's the exact same thing. It's just the other side of the vehicle. So exactly what you saw me do here on the right hand side, I've got to do exactly the same thing on the left hand side. So I've already loosened up the lug nuts. You remember I did that at the beginning. I'm going to take that tire off. I'm going to remove the caliper. I'm going to remove the brake pads. I'm going to put the grease on the back of the new brake pads. I'm going to put those in. I'm going to put the caliper back on, tighten it back up, put the tire back on, put the lug nuts in, tighten it up. That's it. All right, it's the same exact steps. So hopefully this video has been helpful for you. Again, the intent of my videos is to help the people out there who are just trying to save a little money. I'm just a normal, common guy. I'm not a mechanic. But I've learned to do certain things, just enough to get myself in trouble. But these small jobs like changing brakes, I can even bleed my brakes and things like that. But changing my brake pads is something I learned to do a long time ago because I was tired of getting robbed at the garages. Because you'll literally pay $200 or $300 for a brake job, and it's literally $20 is what I paid total. $20 plus an hour of my time. And I'd much rather do that than go to a garage and sit and wait an hour and still pay $200. So an hour of my time is going to be spent either way, probably more time at the garage. So this is makes me feel good. Look at my hands, nice dirty hands. Wife will like that, right? Might get you some extra nookie at the end of the night, right? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video, but I hope it was helpful. If it's helpful, if you found it helpful and it helped you in your job, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and like, share, notify, click the bell, whatever it is that you do out on YouTube. I'd love to get to 500 followers so I could get the earnings started. I don't ever expect to make a lot of money, but it would be nice to meet that goal one day. So tell your friends about the channel. Again, I make videos that are helpful to just the common guy, non-mechanic, and non-mechanically inclined most of the time because I'm not. But these are things I figured out in my life. They've helped me, so I'm making these videos to hopefully help you as well. So have a wonderful night, and we will talk to you soon. Take care. All right, so a couple of things I forgot to mention I thought would be important to get added into this video. So when you're putting your tire in, you're gonna find it a lot easier to get this tire in if you, at least I do. This is the easy method for me, getting the tire back on. Push the tire in from the bottom first, and then it kind of seats over the bolts. And all you have to do is lift it up ever so slightly to get it started instead of having to try to finagle it in. So just kind of pick it up now, put it over one of the bolts. And once it's on one of them, you kind of twist it around to find the others. Well, very time I want to show you that it makes it easier. It doesn't. There we go. So once you get it started in one hole, you just kind of have to move it just ever so slightly left and right to get it caught onto the other screws coming out. And once you start running your lug nuts, you don't want to tighten them until all 5 are on. So the first thing you want to do is get the lug nuts started. Get them started. And you can hand screw them in if you want to. Just don't get them all the way in until they're all in. Don't start tightening them until they're all the way in. Okay, until all 5 are in. And the other thing I wanted to tell you was once they're all 5 in, once you've changed both sets of brakes on the front or the back, wherever you're changing them, because the process is the same in the back as the front. So once you change your brakes, you should go for a drive. Okay, go for a 10-15 minute ride, because you're going to want to work out, especially if you have a wife and kids like I do. I don't want my wife to be doing the test ride. I want to do the test ride myself to make sure everything works okay before my precious cargo is in my vehicle or in her vehicle. Okay, so that's why I will take it for a ride first, and make sure you pump those brakes a lot, because it doesn't stop well at first. When you do a brake job, it takes a good 10-15 minutes for the brakes to start working and everything to be moving in and out correctly and all that. It takes a little trip to get this in order. And don't go too fast at first, right? When you first change your brakes, you want to go slow. You want to come up on stop signs, slow down way ahead of the stop sign. Okay? Up and down your driveway. Don't expect to stop very quickly at first. You're going to want to give yourself a lot of leeway, a lot of lead time to stop. Don't go too fast, and then apply your brakes firmly in and out to use those brakes and get all the parts moved around correctly, and then it'll start working correctly. Okay, so I'm going to get my right one tightened up here. See, I'm going to tighten them up, but then I'm not going to over tighten them until I get it back on the ground, because you see how the tires are turning right now? When I tighten these lug nuts, it kind of pushes the tire left and right. You'll see the tire start to turn when I have this lug nut. You see that tire? See how it's starting to turn? So we only want to tighten it to where they stop, where they're beginning to be tight. And then don't tighten them anymore until the tires are back on the ground. Once the tires are back on the ground, you'll use your torque wrench in the proper pressure for your tires. But once it's on the ground, you're going to want to tighten it until you hear that click. The torque wrench has a click. When you've hit that pressure, it won't tighten anymore, and it makes a clicking sound. And once you tighten it until that click happens, and then you stop and move on to the next one. So my tires are tight enough right now. I'm not going to tighten them anymore until I get this back on the ground and go from there. All right, so that's it. Again, hope this video helped. Give me some love if you liked the video, and we will talk to you next time. Take care. Later.